Good evening. I'm Councillor Shamila Sivaraja, and I would like to welcome you to this full council meeting. There are no scheduled fire drills tonight, so in the event of the fire alarm sounding, please leave the building via the main spiral staircase and through the main reception doors. Once outside, please turn left and make your way to the fire assembly point located beyond the multi-story car park on Exchange Road. If you are unable to use the stairs, please wait in the council chamber and you will be guided by a member of staff to the evacuation lift. This meeting is being live streamed via the council's YouTube channel. Please note that there is no comments function available as part of this webcasting. The council is the data controller and will retain the data collected during this webcast. This will be done so in accordance with the council's published data retention policy. Any members of the public seated in the public gallery should be aware that by entering the chamber, they are consenting to their image being captured by the automated camera system. Recordings will be used for webcasting and/or training purposes. Councillors are reminded to take note of what is displayed on the screens in the room, as these show what is being recorded and webcast. Cameras are currently set to capture you in seated positions, so please remain seated when speaking. Councillors have received an electronic copy of the relevant paperwork for this meeting. The public agenda for this meeting is available on the Council's website. We will now start the agenda. Are there any apologies for absence?
Councillor Charlton.
Councillors' interests notified in advance of the meeting are set out from page 5 in the supplementary agenda order paper. Are there any further interest councillors wish to declare? No? Okay. Do you approve the minutes of the meeting of the full council held on 26 February 2025, which appear on page 5 to 26 in your agenda? Is that agreed? Thank you. Right. I will now provide you with the mayoral update. I've had the great pleasure as mayor to witness the official launch of the Learning Lab at the Beerbusch Centre. This state-of-the-art training facility will not only offer exceptional learning opportunity for those attending digital clinics, but will also serve as a valuable resource for the wider community. I'm delighted that Crawley Borough Council, along with the dedicated team at Food Shop Crawley, has come together to support local residents. This partnership exemplifies the power of collaboration, creating a space that offers invaluable guidance and support to help individuals achieve truly remarkable outcomes. The Learning Lab is a shining example of how working together can transform lives. It was a huge pleasure to attend the Light Up Crawley event, a truly attractive family parade of lights. The beautiful displays and creative use of lighting to craft art brought a special magic to the evening that I thoroughly enjoyed. It was heartwarming to see so many people come together to celebrate and share in the joy of this event. Events like these showcase the wonderful community spirit and talent we have here in Crawley. It was a solemn and meaningful occasion to mark the National COVID Day of Reflection at Crawley Town Hall, commemorating 5 years since the pandemic began. I was joined by our council leader, Michael Jones, as well as Bhavana and Robbie Sharma, the wife and son of our late former mayor, Raj Sharma, who passed away during the pandemic. Their presence was a moving reminder of the personal losses faced by so many during that terrible period, and it was a privilege to lay a beautiful floral display in their memory. It was a moment for us all to reflect, remember, and honor the lives of those no longer with us. Their legacy will always remain in our hearts. It was a true honor to raise the flag for Commonwealth Day on the 10th of March. This annual celebration is a powerful reminder of the shared values, unity, and cooperation that bind the member nations of the Commonwealth. I was privileged to be joined by our leader, Councillor Michael Jones, to mark this meaningful occasion. Together, we celebrated the spirit of community and friendship that Commonwealth Day represents. I've had the privilege of officially opening the Innovation Centre in Crawley, a remarkable facility owned by Crawley Council. This centre stands as a testament to the Council's commitment to fostering innovation, creativity, and growth within our community. It was an honour to be part of such a significant occasion, celebrating a space that promises to inspire collaboration and drive progress for years to come. I have attended numerous events, and there are many more that I haven't mentioned. I'm looking forward to the upcoming events in the future. On to the Cabinet members' announcements with a 10-minute time limit. As you can see on page 7 of the order paper, there are 3 announcements. I will take them in the published order, starting with the leader of the Council, Councillor Jones. Please introduce your communication item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the 21st of March, 2 submissions involving Crawley regarding devolution and local government reorganisation were made to Minister Jim McMahon. These were as outlined in a meeting with all members held on the 20th of March. The first, submitted by Crawley Borough Council, was on behalf of all the local authorities in West Sussex. This did not set out any firm proposals at this stage, but rather provided a route map by which firm proposals will emerge by the Government's 26th of September deadline for final proposals. This West Sussex interim submission outlined the collaborative approach between authorities, set out the progress made and sought guidance on several critical issues in determining the optimal way forward. One of those issues was the subject of the second submission. Made by Reigate and Banstead Borough Council, this was a joint submission with Crawley Borough Council, highlighting the strength of our joint economy, which at £13.2 billion is bigger than Brighton's or Croydon's, but is never spoken about. It does not, however, go as far as proposing a unitary, nor suggest whether Crawley should sit within the new Sussex or Surrey mayoral combined authorities. The question being asked is the same as the question raised within the West Sussex submission. We have done this because we want to ensure that this town is as well positioned as possible in whatever arrangements are to follow. It is right that we properly explore all options to ensure our residents get the best possible outcome. We were informed on Monday that we can expect to receive a response from the Government on the week commencing the 21st of April. In the meantime, we continue to work closely and collaboratively with our West Sussex and wider Sussex authorities to develop unitary proposals. We anticipate bringing options to July full council for debate and to launch wider consultation prior to that further debate in September and a decision on what the final proposal will be submitted. Thank you.
Jones. Next, we have Councillor Nawaz, the Cabinet Member for Planning and Economic Development, in respect of the move of the revamped market to Queensway. Councillor Nawaz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to announce an important and long overdue change for our relocation of Town Centre Market to Queensway from Hazlitt Avenue and the Broadway. This morning, I had the pleasure of visiting the market with the leader of the council as it officially opened at its new location. Speaking with traders, I was pleased to hear this overwhelmingly positive feedback. They told us how happy they are with the move, how much they appreciate the new branded gazebos, and how fantastic the market looks. A brilliant, vibrant, and welcoming market. This move has been in the pipeline for some time. The market was originally relocated to Hazlitt Avenue as a temporary measure, yet it remained there for nearly 10 years. The challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic delayed the progress, but with the Station Gateway regeneration scheme now moving forward, we have the opportunity to finally bring the market back to the heart of the Crawley Town Centre. Queensway offers a more vibrant, accessible and central space for the market, benefiting both traders and shoppers. The location is more pedestrian-friendly, closer to major retail stores, and part of wider regeneration efforts, ensuring a thriving and sustainable market for the future. This move is not just about location, it's about revitalising our town centre, supporting small businesses and making Crawley a more attractive destination for residents and visitors alike. We recognise that change can be challenging, which is why we are fully committed to supporting our traders throughout this transition. We will work closely with them to ensure they can adapt smoothly and take full advantage of this new opportunity. At the same time, this move aligns with our ambitious plans for Crawley Town Centre, ensuring it remains a thriving hub for businesses, shopping and community life. I hope the new location will attract a variety of new traders to join the market, further boosting the footfall in this part of the town centre and bring back the glories of Crawley as a great market town, a place where trade, culture and community spirit thrive all the time. This relocation is an exciting step forward, one that has been a long time coming. I want to thank everyone who has been part of this journey, from traders and residents to businesses and especially the council officers. Now we look ahead to a thriving market in Queensway where traders can flourish, shoppers can enjoy a better experience, and Crawley Town Centre can continue to grow as a vibrant and welcoming destination. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nawaz. Finally, we have Councillor Chris Mullins, Cabinet Member for Leisure and Wellbeing, to speak on the Play Improvement Programme. Please introduce your communication item. Councillor Chris Mullins.
Thank you, Mayor. I love coming in and talking to the council about good things, and this is such a good thing. We have, people might not be aware, but we have something like getting on for 80 with some other bits with Muggers and outdoor gyms. We have something like 80 facilities that suit children across the town, and they are facilities that are vital to their existence, their happiness, and to their families, and perhaps to their parents that might want to take them out in the daytime to burn off some energy. So I'm very pleased with the amount of unsupervised play areas that we have, because that means that the kiddies have got an outlet that's very, very important to them. We have now completed about 50% in refurbishment terms of the existing council stock. We've got about 30 schemes left to do. We've got 6 approved for early next year, and we're working on them. From early May, we will be doing 4 areas. We'll be doing Halley Close in Broadfield, Plaintain Crescent in Broadfield, Puffin Road in Ifield, and Browness Close in Ifield. Those are the next 4 to be done. They will be done in sequence, as you know. We have to move the staff around, and we have to obtain the equipment in and what's available. But they will be done, and hopefully they'll all be completed within about 12 weeks of the start programme. So that's something to look forward to. Can I say also, Mayor, that we are looking at Plaintain Crescent on or before the 22nd of May, and we would like to accommodate yourself, Mayor, to get you along to open this area when it's finished. And that will be a great thing, and I certainly will be there to see you open it. So that should be a nice thing to do, and I look forward to that. Can I say that we've had to take, over the years with the financial situation, we've made some tough decisions on some of our areas that involve children, like the adventure playgrounds. They're not decisions that personally I would have liked to have taken, but decisions that were financially necessary. So we are still highlighting the fact that we see children as the future seed corn for this town, and and the intelligence that's developing for this town, and the people who are going to replace us one day when we are perhaps somewhere else. So, I mean, it's important that you nurture your young, and I think historically Crawley has been very, very good at doing that, and long may it continue. So to make provisions for young people is one of the most joyous things you can do, and to see them grow and develop in the way that they do is a wonderful thing. So, Mayor, I'm pleased to be able to say about you coming to open Plaintain Crescent. I look forward to that, and I'm pleased to have an opportunity tonight to talk about something that I really appreciate and love. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Chris Mullins, and thank you for your kind invitation. Right. Finally, members will be aware that Hayley Thorne, the Mayoral and Democratic Support Officer, will be retiring in the next couple of weeks. I feel that we, as full council, should record our thanks to her for all her hard work and dedication to the mayoralty and the borough over 22 years. I'm now going to say a few words about Hayley. Hayley was the very first person I met after being elected as a councillor, and since then she has been an incredible guide and support. Hayley's wisdom and moral guidance have been invaluable. It is truly bittersweet to see her retire. It has been lovely to work with Hayley, and her unwavering support in my mayoral role has been invaluable. Hayley was always there whenever I needed assistance, whether on weekdays or weekends, and her work ethic, dignity and commitment have been truly admirable. The countless events Hayley has arranged for the council have been a tremendous benefit to all members, and her dedication has never gone unnoticed. While it is sad to see Hayley step away, I hope that her retirement journey will be full of joy, new adventure and well-deserved rest. Hayley will be greatly missed, but her contributions will never be forgotten. I believe we have members from both groups wanting to say a few words about Hayley. I'll start with Councillor Jones, followed by Councillor Crowe and other members. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I must say this is one of those days that you just hope would never come, but we have the sad task tonight of having to say goodbye to the councillor's personal assistant Hayley, who's faithfully looked after all councillors here at the town hall, new and old, for so many years. I know councillors will all want to join with you, Madam Mayor, in thanking her for her time spent, and I certainly want to on behalf of everyone in the Labour group. Hayley was here for several years before I even joined the council, and has a vast experience of dealing with all matters to do with our mayors and the civic life of this council. She's been clerk to the Courage Dyer Trust, which gives money to many good causes in Crawley, and she's helped with the administration of the Town Twinning Society as well. Her departure will leave a big gap in our hearts, and I know we will all miss her company and her hugely helpful approach to getting what members needed. I will personally miss Hayley's great sense of humour, her unselfish giving of her time for problems no matter how small, and the wonderful civic events she was instrumental in helping our mayors to organise over the years. The Mayor's Ball, so much of what we used to do, the annual Mayor Making event, there's most of it you could absolutely bet your bottom dollar that Hayley was running behind the scenes. Hayley's been part and parcel of that for so long. It's difficult to imagine life here without her, but we will have to. I wish Hayley a huge amount of luck in the future. She claims to me that she's going to retire, but all I can say, Madam Mayor, is that she must have a portrait in her attic, because she's always managed to look younger than me since I've known her. Hayley, can I say through you, Madam Mayor, for members, you've been a dependable and on many occasions an uplifting part of our lives here at Crawley Borough Council. And I know I join with you, Madam Mayor, and every member of this council and many past members and mayors too in saying thank you for your service. It has been sensational and you've been an institution.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Crowe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On behalf of the Conservative Group, I would certainly wish to place on record my, indeed our thanks for all the help and support that Hayley Thorne has given members over 23 years, and it's virtually about 1 year longer than I've been here, and all the time Councillor Lanza has been here all of Hayley's time. And it's when a new councillor arrives at this council, it all seems very strange, but Hayley has always managed to help make members feel welcome and comfortable, and to feel at ease in the role. And of course, it's not just members here today. Given the length of time that she's been here, there are literally generations of councillors, indeed several councillors who sadly are literally no longer with us because they have passed away, who she has helped and supported over the years. When you think that we usually have a new mayor every year, and the support that she's given to those mayors and indeed deputy mayors, and of course her role is it's mayor PA, but also leader PA as well, and of course support to all members. And I think she certainly brought some particular skills to the role. Certainly, I think diplomacy. And also, I think patience as well, because there's no doubt that over the years, and obviously I'm not going to name any names, but there must be some mayors and possibly some former leaders, but obviously not the one next to me, of course, but who must have proved quite frustrating to work with over those years. It's inevitable, and yet you would not have a clue that would be the case, because Hayley's professionalism and the way that she's supported all members over those years has been, it's worked very smoothly, and I think we are all going to miss her, and obviously we'll wait and see how her role will be sort of divided amongst Democratic Services staff. But she was or still is until she goes, the person to go to. That's how many people will see her, and so she will be sadly missed, and I'm sure there'll be a token of appreciation from members for her time here. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Crowe. Councillor Chris Mullins.
Thank you, Mayor. Retirement is a sort of strange thing for somebody, really. I've been through it myself, of course. At my age, I should have been by now. But it's sort of a happiness tinged with sadness in some ways, because even if you're a bit fed up with your job or whatever's going on, you're not fed up with the people you work with, the people you've come to know, and the relationships that you've built over the years. And those things sit with you after you retire, and you look back and you think memories come back about things you've done, people you knew that you're perhaps not seeing anymore. And when you first retire, it does seem like you're on holiday for a while. You think, oh, you know, this is like a holiday. Maybe it will end, but it doesn't, of course. And it goes on and on. And then what you do is you come to really appreciate your retirement, your freedom, your ability to wake up in the morning and decide what you're going to do for the day. And that's that you can't have that in any other way except if you're retired or you're rich and you don't need to go to work. But so the one bit of equivalent you get out of life with rich people is retirement, if you can afford to do things, of course. But so my memories with Hayley go back so far. I mean, I first came to this council in 1983, so it's quite a long time ago. I was mayor in 2000, 2001, but unfortunately, when I realise now, I didn't actually have Hayley as the mayor's secretary at that time. I had somebody else, and I won't develop that. And I sort of look back and I think, oh, that would have been nice if it had been her. But on the other hand, I saw an awful lot of her, an awful lot of the time, and got to know her very well. And she was always very, very helpful to us. And Sue and I, especially when we were going through some traumatic times in our family, and she was so kind and thoughtful, and I can never forget that. And I find Hayley to be a helper, an organiser, an advisor, a friend, and a professional. She really was very, very good at doing the job in all respects. And I sort of sit down sometimes and, you know, things at my age, you get a lot of flashbacks. I don't know, when you get as old as me, you'll start realising you're getting flashbacks about this and that. You can't help it. Some of it's good. Some of it's always the mistakes you made or the bad decisions that you made. And I'm sure I will now get flashbacks about Hayley, and I think about times gone past. Good flashbacks. And so I wish her all the well. And retirement is something to enjoy. So my advice to Hayley would be, you might miss a lot of the company you had, the people that you knew and met, and some of the familiar faces that you won't see so much of. But you're entering a time when you can be yourself and build your life around yourself and your family, and that's invaluable. So, Hayley, go forward and enjoy it, and God bless you and good luck to you.
Thank you, Councillor Chris Mullins. Councillor Gilly Hart. Sorry, I'll call Councillor Lanza.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I agree with all that's been said, most definitely. And I do think that Hayley has been much more than the mayoral PA or PA to leaders and PA to members generally. She kind of operates with the kind of style of being always present but never there. I mean, she really makes things happen for everyone. And I do suspect that there will be a number of elected members, and I think officers as well, who might quietly worry to themselves that with Hayley departing, one of the wheels might just fall off the wagon if they don't take great care. Now, internally, Hayley has shared some of the moments that meant a lot to her, and there's so many, but clearly she's organised so many mayoral events and civic balls with great skill. I mean, I have to say, with all sorts of different personalities, and she exhibits great tact and diplomacy and professionalism. And another event she particularly remembered was the march in 2012 with the Princess Wales's Royal Regiment through the town centre in the run-up signing the Armed Forces Covenant. And I think I remarked internally that I did attend a recognition event for Hayley, and I remarked in my speech at that event that it was nice to see her at an event that she hadn't actually had to organise. But I was wrong about that as well. She'd even had to partly organise her own recognition event. She is truly always present, extremely reliable, and she was a great PA to me as leader from 2006 to 13. She's been a PA to many mayors, rather fewer leaders. I mean, it's the way our system works. We tend to have more mayors over a given period than we do leaders. And if I may, I'd like to share one anecdote which kind of illustrates the humour of some situations. We used to, over quite a long period, have at Christmas time kind of a food and drink event organised by the mayor and another one organised by the chief executive. In Christmas 2006, I introduced one for the leader, using my own resources. I want to be clear about. I just want to be clear about that. And so each Christmas we'd get the hatchback out and bring in some food from home, and then Hayley and I and others would lift it upstairs, the food and the drink, into the leader's office and await the arrival of the first punters, as it were. And one year, and Hayley used to set everything up brilliantly in terms of laying everything out. And one of the finishing touches, of course, was to switch on her essential George Michael music. Yeah, so that was always one of the finishing touches just before people would come in. And one year, I think I'd over-catered because the table was absolutely groaning. It looked like it was groaning with all this food and drink, the weight of it and the spread of it. And Hayley had just switched on the George Michael music, and suddenly the door opened quite abruptly. Wham! Sorry. The door opened quite abruptly, and in came a communications officer, and he looked at the room, around the room, and he seemed quite shocked and taken aback by what he saw. And Hayley just diffused the situation. She said, "Hello, Alan. It's okay, don't worry. I have to prepare this lunch for Bob every day." Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lanza. Can we have Councillor Gilly Hart?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, how do I add to that? Every word that the previous speakers have said is absolutely Hayley through and through and through. So I'm going to keep mine a bit more personal, I hope. And it's thank you, Hayley, for your guidance your knowledge, your wisdom of the council, your wisdom of Crawley, your wisdom of the councillors. You truly showed me the way and the problem solving, no matter what the time of day was, no matter where we were, no matter what we were doing. She was always there with a helping hand. You informed, you showed me the way, and you listened. You will be sadly missed, but I know you're really looking forward and you're really excited about the next step in your life. Thank you, goodbye, and enjoy your new life in retirement with Lee. Thank you, Hayley.
Thank you, Councillor Gilliard. Finally, a call for a vote of thanks. Is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Item 5, public questions. I see there are no members of the public in the gallery, so we will move on item 9, page 9. Consideration of full council recommendation and call-in decisions. We will now deal with the agenda item 6, consideration of full council recommendation and call-in decision. There is only one recommendation for discussion this evening. The recommendation has come from the Cabinet held on meeting on 12th March 2025. Recommendation 1, revised HRA budget for purchase of land or property, Part B, starting on page 56. I'm aiming to hold the debate on this recommendation in open session, even though it relates to a Part B exempt report, unless I hear an objection to this approach. So that being agreed, here is some advice from the monitoring officer. Members can only discuss information that is in the public domain as detailed within the Cabinet minute on page 56. Please do not reference the location of the development or the original costing of the proposed site, as these are not in the public domain. Councillor Jones, please introduce this recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is just a brief introduction to this item. As people will know, the Council's bringing forward as much council housing as it's possible for us to achieve in order to address the housing emergency that we have here in Crawley Borough and get more of our families and our households on the waiting list into housing. Now, as a result, one of our developments has been identified as needing an additional £700,000 to allow the entire scheme to be built. This is a relatively modest increase, comprising a fairly small proportion of the cost of the project, but it is an amount that reaches the threshold that it requires the support of full council for the additional expenditure. I very much urge members to support this recommendation this evening so that we can press ahead with delivering these high-quality, sustainable units that are very much needed. Thank you.
Councillor Irvine, I believe you are seconding the recommendation. Councillor Irvine, do you wish to speak?
Can I speak later if necessary?
I will now open up the debate to the floor. Councillor Crowe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, the Cabinet will be pleased to hear that the Conservative Group will be supporting the recommendation, but perhaps that's maybe as good as it gets. I personally would not describe £700,000 as a modest amount, as the leader has just done. You know, we're in a situation where we are now, we do need to support this to get this scheme going. So that is the right thing to do. But quite frankly, we shouldn't be in this position where we're seeking to have to ask full council for £700,000 to enable a scheme to develop. Well, I won't go into detail. Members have got access to the report and they can see how much contingency was put in when this scheme was conceived just, I think it's just a couple of years ago. And it clearly has proved not to be enough. And, you know, we do need to get these things right. And what's the impact of extra £700,000? Well, for starters, if we weren't having to spend this on capital, or this capital sum, we would probably have around, I don't know, £30,000 a year extra revenue from the interest as part of our treasury management. So there's a direct correlation. Of course, I appreciate getting this scheme done means that we will hopefully have less people in temporary accommodation. So we're definitely right to support it. But the fact that we have arrived at a situation where really we don't really have much choice but to support it, and costs have increased. I'm not sure I can say the percentage, but the amount of £700,000 is a significant amount, and that is regrettable. So I do ask that the Cabinet get a better grip of schemes coming forward in future, so that costs do not escalate, and that when those schemes are agreed, they are realistic amounts that are being tabled. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers? Councillor Sue Mullins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Only a couple of things I'd like to say on the comments that have just been made by Councillor Crowe. It must be amazing to have a crystal ball sitting in your front room somewhere, so you can gaze into that and you can predict what costs are going to come forward within 2 or 3 years. Whenever you have a big capital project, which takes some years to come forward, there are obviously going to be changes. And yes, you do put in a contingency, but sometimes that contingency gets thrown completely out of kilter by things that are completely out of the council's control. And that comes down to costs. The costs of labour and the costs of materials have gone through the roof. As anybody you ask, well, you could be doing a couple of paving stones outside your back door, and you'll go down the builders merchants and you will probably faint at the cost of the couple of stones to put out there, because the costs are so high now and have moved on so quickly. And part of that is due to the fact that inflation was screaming away at 11%, not too far away in the past. Now, I really think you could, invest in crystal balls, but at the end of the day, making these predictions, everybody does, the people who work for the council, the people who do these, work it all out for us, they do their very best to get it correct. And it's not always easy to get it right, as I'm quite sure if you were sitting on the other side, you'd be only too quick to say. So please don't talk about how we've made mistakes or we haven't calculated it correctly when you know perfectly well why this has had to come forward.
Thank you. Do we have any further speakers? Councillor Irvine, can I bring you in?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, first of all, I thank Councillor Crowe for the first part of his speech. It's nice to get the support of all councillors for this. On the second part, I'm afraid I can only agree with everything that Councillor Mullins said. She's absolutely right. The last few years have seen unprecedented fluctuations in the cost of things. It makes trying to predict the cost of a development very, very difficult. And we see that all across the public and private sector. I mean, like, for example, how much over budget has HS2 gone? I think that the great shame of this is really that we can't actually talk about development itself or developments themselves tonight, because if we could, then the people of Crawley would know that what would be at risk if we didn't spend this extra or make available this extra £700,000. For the sake of £700,000, this town would be losing a great deal. And I'm very happy to second the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. There are no further speakers. Councillor Jones, please formally move the recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to exercise my right to reply during that, if I may. It's difficult to properly express what a cheap shot this was from Councillor Crowe just now. I mean, since COVID, as Councillor Sue Mullins and Councillor Irvine have alluded to, we've had costs relating to construction soar well above inflation. And this is why the original estimate has gone up. And everyone in the country is in the same boat. This isn't something unique. And I rather think the Conservative group are aware of this. But just to introduce some reality here, I need to remind the group opposite, We are going to get dozens of units out of this. Without going into any detail, Madam Mayor, well, not only will we get the rent and the rates from it, as council housing, which is good for the housing revenue account and our revenue, but we're going to save tens of thousands of pounds per family per annum that we don't have to put into temporary accommodation. That more than wipes out the 30k he mentions we might have got. And I think also it's worth saying that in terms of the overall cost, as I said, I still maintain this is a relatively small fraction of the overall costs. But I am mindful of the human costs of having children living in TA. And this is money that's well worth spending. So I'm sorry that there's almost been an element of churlishness about this. I think that we've got an excellent scheme and it's well worth pressing ahead with now because time is of the essence. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. I call for a vote on recommendation 1, starting on page 56. Is that agreed, or would you like a vote on it? Agreed. Thank you. The next item is councillors' question time. We have 30 minutes for this item. All councillors who ask a question will be allowed a supplementary question. As usual, and where possible, I will rotate between the groups when I take questions. We will start with the 2 written questions submitted by councillors Lanza and Crow, respectively, as detailed in the supplementary agenda from page 9, which includes the responses. Councillor Lanza, do you wish to ask any supplementary question, or do you wish to ask a question on a different topic?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No supplementary question, but I would like to ask a question on another topic, please. Yeah. Oh, right now, can I? Oh, is it later? Or yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. In that case, thank you, Madam Mayor. Question is to the leader of the Councillor Jones, really referring to his statement on devolution and local government reorganisation. You referred to 2 submissions, one of which essentially had your signature at the bottom, the joint one, because you had the honour of chairing the joint leaders meeting of 15 leaders across all of Sussex, and you referred to that submission as being a collaborative effort, and obviously everyone knew about it. So my question to you is, on the second submission, the joint submission from 2 authorities, Reigate and Banstead and Crawley, at what point did the other 14 leaders know of that submission? Did they know ahead of publication or at the point of publication? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Lanza. There's a slight inaccuracy in what you said. There's only been a West Sussex submission. It's not been a Sussex-wide submission, so I've not been involved in anything with the wider Sussex. As far as I was concerned, we were quite open about 2 letters going to the government. This issue that it hasn't been raised with me by any other leader, and I agreed at the time with the Chief Executive that the issue of a joint submission with Reigate and Banstead would be raised with other West Sussex Chief Executives, and I know that took place. There should therefore have been knowledge of this second submission. I will concede there was no leader-to-leader communication of this, but part of that was because I believed that they'd been told and there was nothing more to be said about it. In retrospect, perhaps there could have been more said, and we can reflect on that. Although I will say, with the pressing deadlines and the short time we've had, I don't think that there was much fault to be laid because of what we had to do, and we've had to do it in quite a fast period of time. But let's be clear, we've been open and transparent about this question from the start. The West Sussex submission raises the same question about the economic links Crawley has to neighbours north of the Surrey border, but it wouldn't have been right to dominate a West Sussex submission with this question. This is more a matter for us than it is for many of the coastal authorities. And the only way of setting this out in the detail that it justified it was to make another submission. And the joint submission that we did with Reigate and Banstead does this, and it has been carefully worded so that it aligns with and does not cut across the West Sussex submission. So if people do read this letter objectively, and I do hope Councillor Lanza does, if he hasn't already, they'll hopefully see it should help resolve the direction of travel. So to finish, I would emphasise that our approach on anything involving Surrey has not been remotely different from what we've been doing with West Sussex, and what West Sussex is doing, apparently the Conservatives don't have any problems with at all, Madam Mayor. So I just want to be quite clear that that throughout this, we have gone to great lengths to try and bring people together. People possibly don't realise what lengths that's taken. But we certainly have, and there's nothing this authority's done that's been in bad faith. Thank you.
Supplementary question. Well, thank you, Councillor Jones, for that response. And I'm sorry for the error in my original question. I should have referred also to 7 other leaders rather than 14 other leaders. So I correct that in this supplementary question. But I did kind of pick up from you that there was almost some learning on your part that perhaps something could have been done differently, because I'm not sure I actually heard. Well, let me put it this way. I think you had to put in 2 submissions. Clearly, there's the joint submission, and if you've got another position, then of course it warranted a second submission. Whether or not I personally support that, but I mean the essential question was, again, referring to the other 7 leaders, did they know through you as a peer leader? Did they know through you as a peer leader before submission of the second document, the smaller submission? Did they know it was going out, or did they just find out rather than know? Clear question.
I was led to believe that all councils in West Sussex were aware of what we were going to do. I can hardly be accused of keeping secret that we were exploring options with across the border. And although I will do my utmost to keep and maintain good relations with my fellow leaders across West Sussex, and indeed I've tried to. My memory is that certainly some of the leaders will be aware, because I think I discussed it with them. But in terms of my primary duty is to ensure that I'm getting the interests of the people of Crawley listened to at the highest level. So ultimately, although I will try to collaborate as best I can, I make no apologies for putting forward what I think is the best deal for this borough.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Crowe, do you wish to ask a supplementary question, or do you wish to ask a question on a different topic?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got no supplementary question, but I do have a question, a different question, a verbal one. Do you want me to put it now? Okay, so my question is to, again, the leader, Councillor Jones, and hopefully might get a, he sort of used the term subjective, and he wasn't in his response to me just previously. I want to take members back to page 22 in our minute book, and it's the previous question time, and it's a question that Councillor Abu Mosa asked of the leader about the Crawley Town Centre bid, and I'm going to quote from, and I actually do agree with her. She says, she asked about how he'd voted, and I think she probably realised she knew how he voted, but she says she asked whether he agrees with me that a yes vote for renewal will be very positive for our town centre and for all our residents in Crawley. And the leader basically answered and said yes, and he also put that the feedback he'd received from businesses had been universally positive, and he looked forward to hearing the results of the renewal ballot on Friday when the ballots are counted. And unfortunately, it would appear that the leader has somehow jinxed the bid election, because unfortunately that election was lost, and we no longer have the bid. So, or we won't do very soon. It is in the process of winding up. So my question to Councillor Jones is, what comes now? What can the council do for the town centre now that the bid is folding, given that we know many people in this town have got concerns about what's happening in our town centre, and it is a wider problem than just Crawley. Town centres are under pressure. So given that, very disappointingly, we're going to lose the bid, what is the leader doing to helping to support our town centre?
That's all right. Thank you, Councillor Crowe, I think, for that election. I think it's impossible to say whether I jinxed the election or not. I doubt it. Ultimately, the decision over the town centre bid is a decision for those businesses, and by a narrow majority of businesses, they decided not to go ahead, but that was only by number of businesses. By actual rateable value, over 75%, I believe, of the town centre bid businesses actually voted for it to continue. So, in some respects, it is unfortunate. It is too early to say what precisely can be done, Councillor Crowe. However, I would say that the bids by their very nature are designed in order to raise revenue to be spent on things that wouldn't otherwise normally be functions of a local council or the local police or local authorities. That is why they are there. They are there to add value. And if the businesses involved do not wish to take advantage of those benefits, that is entirely a matter for them. But the expectation, particularly in times where local government is in severe financial hardship, the expectation cannot be that the local authority will come in and make up the shortfall. That may very well not be the case. Also, it would be, in some respects, giving the wrong signal to businesses that it is perfectly acceptable to vote no and there are no consequences. I mean, I think unfortunately we are in a position where without the bid, the town centre will have to take on challenges in a way, in new ways. Now, I have heard it said that potentially one way would be another sort of banding together, but we will have to wait and see how that goes. Although, you know, we clearly recognise and we respect the democratic decision that was made. I am aware that the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner Katie Bourne has given some interim money for the Business Crime Reduction Partnership. Although when our representative on the panel asked her at the Police and Crime Commission panel how long that would be for and how much it was, she wasn't able to immediately answer that. And while this is a short-term fix after the sad news about the town centre bid, it does raise an expectation of the Commissioner, I would say, that the ambassadors will continue to be paid for in the future. And without the money that the town centre bid generates through the levy, if the Commissioner withdraws that ongoing support, it is difficult to know where that money will come from. I mean, I hope, and I'm sure we all hope, that she does not do so, because this council has already been clear that we lack the finances, and it would have to be a police matter to address any such absence from their existing resources. Whatever happens, we are keeping it under review, and if local businesses in the town centre wish to do something different in order to help support themselves, I think the council will be receptive in at least trying to facilitate that support. But at this moment, people understand that financial commitments cannot be made.
Councillor Crowe.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I just need to correct Councillor Jones in part of his answer, and he perhaps needs to check with Councillor Yasmin Khan again, because I was at the Police and Crime panel, and the Police Commissioner Katie Bourne said that she would fund the town centre part, the business improvement district's share of the business crime partnership, crime reduction partnership for 1 year, and she actually said that during the meeting. So just want to clarify that point. And what happens after that, well, we don't know, but that commitment has been made. I thank the leader for his answer, and do agree with him in part that you know, it's the council cannot do everything that the bid has done. However, does he agree with me? And Councillor Sue Mullins mentioned crystal ball in my front room, but does he agree with me that it was quite good that we had an amendment at our budget meeting just 4 weeks ago, where we changed the reduction in town centre events to make the saving only £15 as opposed to £30,000? And doesn't he agree that that now is quite significant and good news for the town centre, given what has subsequently happened?
We clearly want to maintain, as much as possible, the good events that go on in the town centre. And that amendment, as was clear on the order paper that night, was being submitted regardless of the Conservative amendment. But it is the case that we are always committed as far as we possibly can to ensure that the town centre remains an attractive and fun place for people to visit and enjoy. I'm not sure whether sort of self-black-slapping on this is necessarily a particularly helpful question in that regard.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. I'll now open the floor to any members wishing to ask a question of either Cabinet members or committee chairs. Please indicate now. Councillor Barrett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question's for the Cabinet Member for Community Engagement and Culture, Councillor Sue Mullins. Our young people are the guardians of democracy in the future. We need their engagement and we need their vigilance. And so I'd be interested to learn what initiatives are being taken to help them become active citizens in local democracy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. As Councillor Chris Mullins said earlier, our young people are our future, and it's therefore really vital that we not only make sure that they have the opportunity to play and have fun and enjoyment in their lives, but also that they learn how to grapple with the issues that face every young person these days. We live in an increasingly uncertain and unstable world, and our young people have a very difficult job to navigate through all the different things that are going on at the moment, and therefore it's vital that they understand how our democracy works, what the parts of the democracy, how the town council works, how Parliament works, and it's a slow learning process for them. We are very fortunate that this council has always facilitated a youth council within the town. This is done by elections in every school, every secondary school, where they elect representatives to go forward to the youth council and take part in, so they do training and they represent their school for the whole year, and then they make sure that they're not only involved in events, but they actually produce their own events. And I was really fortunate on Monday I ended up spending the entire day at the Horse from 10 o'clock in the morning till nearly 4 o'clock in the afternoon at an event that was run by our youth council. The representatives on there had actually written their own programme of what they wanted for the day. And how they did it was they had workshops in the morning, 4 different workshops, one on knife crime, one on peer pressure, one on social media and the sort of things like AI that's going on at the moment, and one other, I can't remember what the other one, they'll come back in a moment. But I managed to attend 4 of them, and didn't manage to do the knife crime one, which I really wanted to do, but there wasn't time to fit it in. And then in the afternoon, after they'd all had their young people that came from the youth council from every school, there were over 100 children there, and they were aged from, I would say, 13 to 18. So they covered a wide range of our schools. In the afternoon, they then had a question time in the studio where they were able to question a panel. They had somebody from the police who works with young people across the county. They had people from youth services. They also had members of their own youth council, who are the leaders of it, and myself and several other people on there. And I have to say, the questions they were asked were so mature and so far-ranging. It was really a great thing to see. And to see that our young people are already thinking about the world they're growing up in, they're actually grasping hold of it and trying their best to understand it. So let's hope that continues, because this council facilitates that. We have what we call community days at the Horse, so many a year, so we can use for these sort of events. And I thought that was a great use of a community day, because we reached out to a lot of young people. This was the first event they've done for the year, because they're a new council, only just been elected. And it was really good to see them learning during the day. The first workshop they had, some of the young people came down and they were really in a state. They could speak about it well, they knew they'd prepared well, but they were really worried. They said, they don't seem very responsive. They're not answering the questions. What do we do? How do we get them involved? And the leaders that were there from the council, some of our really experienced officers, just gave them a couple of simple ideas, just to get kids moving. They said, remember, it's Monday morning. It's 10 o'clock on a Monday morning. Most of your kids there, the people there, not really awake yet. You know, if you're aged from 13 to 18, Monday morning takes a while to get going. So don't worry, you're doing a great job. Just have an idea to get the group. You've got 25 people sitting in front of you. Try and get them to stand up and sit down for some particular reason. Like, stand up if you agree with this, or stand up if you don't agree. Just to get them moving and then talking to each other. And I went into the next workshop, and those same kids who were a bit worried, they were nervous, it's not working, we haven't prepared properly, she's reading from her notes, it doesn't sound quite right. When I went in, it was perfect, it was great. And some of the stuff those kids were watching they picked out stuff from YouTube programs, stuff that the government had produced on knife crime and so on, and on peer pressure, on the dangers of AI. Some of it was really hard-hitting, and I have to tell you, I took some of those ideas home, and I talked to my family, and I've actually talked to my little boy about some of that stuff. So, there you go. I'm sorry, but that was really important. Our young people in our town are much more important than us old fogies sitting up here wittering away.
Thank you, Councillor Sue Merlin. Councillor Barrett, do you have any supplementary question? Okay, thank you. Councillor Ramsey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is for the Leader of the Council, Councillor Jones. A few days ago, I read a story that the government had commissioned Thales to produce 5,000 anti-tank missiles for Ukraine, and my gut reaction was, great, big win for Britain, big win for Ukraine, and maybe big win for Crawley, because we all know where Thales is. And it got me thinking about our own kind of ethical investment policy and how for some reason, it doesn't list defence as an ethical investment. And it's not just me who thinks this is a bit odd, because obviously there were 100 Labour MPs and peers a few weeks ago who obviously agree with me that that's a kind of potentially outdated way of thinking about it. So I was just wondering, winds of change are kind of afoot on this issue, and I was wondering if you'd consider updating the ethical investment policy for Crawley Borough Council to list defence as an ethical investment. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think the short answer is that this council keeps its treasury management policy, which includes investments, under regular review. But at the moment, there are no current plans to revise it.
Do you wish to ask a supplementary question?
Sorry. Yeah, if I could. Thank you for that answer, and I'm glad it wasn't kind of immediately dismissive. So that's encouraging, I think, for future potential reviews. I remember at OSC we had a similar conversation about this, where it was said that it was kind of almost too soon to say if the policy should be updated. And I was just wondering, you say it's regularly reviewed. I don't want to kind of keep going back to full council with the same questions. So do you have any idea of when you'd think there'd be like a definitive answer on this question, or should I just come back in a couple of full councils, essentially? Thanks.
Clearly we value we value the contribution of all our local businesses, but saying that it doesn't necessarily influence our treasury management policy. But all I can say is the council would have to give it more thought, and I can't really be drawn any further at this time.
Councillor Jones. Councillor Patel.
Thank you. So this question is actually for you, Madam Mayor. I want to highlight and thank you for the fantastic Pongal event that took place in the Town Hall in January. It was wonderful to see so many councillors attend, many in a traditional attire. It was also wonderful to see this celebrated at Downing Street shortly, and you, as our Mayor, attend on behalf of Crawley. Does the Mayor agree with me that the Town Hall community have made a significant contribution to Crawley, as well as their impressive work in promoting their culture? And does she share my delight that the Crawley Town Hall Learning Centre won the King's Award for Voluntary Service in 2024 in recognition of their outstanding work? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your question, Councillor Patel. I would like to take this moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the councillors and community leaders who kindly accepted my invitation and attended in Tamil traditional attire. It was truly wonderful to see everyone embracing our cultural heritage, which made the occasion even more special. I'm immensely proud that our Tamil Learning Centre have been awarded with the King Award in 2024 for our voluntary and community services, a recognition that celebrates the dedication and impact of our efforts within the community. Attending the Pongal Festival at 10 Downing Street was an incredibly enriching experience. The joy of sharing our heritage, the warmth of our community, and the recognition of our cultural significance made it a truly memorable occasion. I felt honored and deeply moved to see our tradition being celebrated and appreciated at such a high level. Thank you. Do you have any supplementary question? Okay. Councillor Hellier.
Thank you. My question is to Councillor Jones, Leader of the Council. Reigate and Banstead called an extraordinary meeting on the 19th of March of all their councillors across all political parties who unanimously agreed a preference for a 3-unitary model across Surrey. Why is it that we haven't had a formal meeting of full council to allow for member input and involvement? Instead, we've only received a cascade of information.
Members were all able to attend a meeting the night before the submission letters were sent to be told what they are. Just to reiterate, Madam Mayor, no decisions have been taken at this point. Now, Surrey may have made, or parts of Surrey may have made more firm decisions, but at the moment, West Sussex has not, and the authorities have only agreed principles, and there are no specific proposals on the table. Therefore, no decision has been taken to have called a meeting. But I can assure Councillor Hellier that we will comply by all appropriate governance procedures if and when a decision is required.
Do you wish to ask any supplementary question? Right, thank you. Councillor Yanni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Invest Crawley conference on the 19th of March, which was held in the Town Hall, showcased our town's potential and attracted vital investments. So could Councillor Nawaz provide an overview of the event?
Thank you. Thank you for your question, Councillor Yanni. I think it's a very good question, and I think it's quite important for our members to hear that as well, for how was the conference go. I think Councillor Jones, Leader of the Council, and Councillor Lanza will agree with me that the event was a resounding success. It was a great success, very well attending. It's reaffirming Crawley's position as a prime location for investment, business expansion, and innovation. The event brought together around 80 investors, developers, business leaders, and key stakeholders, all keen to engage with our ambitious plans for growth, regeneration, and sustainability. So directly address your question about investor sentiment, I would say there was a clear confidence in Crawley's economic strength and future projects, despite the changing economic climate. Investors see Crawley as a thriving economic hub with strong foundations and long-term resilience. Some of the key reasons I've mentioned in the past as well, what I say, Crawley, over £6 billion economy, one of the most productive in the UK, 93,000 jobs and 84% employment rate, making Crawley one of the highest job density outside London. Significant innovation, ranked 7th in the UK, which is 55.8 patents per 100,000 people. Strong infrastructure investment, along with our key stakeholders and partners, 120 million in secured funding. During the conference, some of the key feedback we received from our stakeholders, I shared some of them. Electa, one of the biggest, in terms of innovative company in Crawley, its long-term commitment stating that Crawley has a fantastic history of innovation and provides a tangible business benefits. Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Governments, the representative from them, MHCLG, highlighted the strong government investment in Crawley, praising our focus and sustainable growth and long-term productivity. Aurora Group, the Sanjay Arora said, absolutely love Crawley because of how we work collaboratively with work investors and growth. Rainier Developments expressed their intention to invest further in Crawley. I can go on, but in summary, investors are highly confident in Crawley's economy. They recognise opportunities for growth, value, strong partnership with the council, ensuring Crawley continues to thrive as an economic powerhouse in line with the government's economic growth agenda. I can reassure that council remains committed to fostering a dynamic, investment-friendly environment that puts communities at the heart of growth, ensuring that businesses, workers and residents all thrive together. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you wish to ask a supplementary question? Okay. I think we've run out of time now with Councillor's question time. So we move on.
Councillor Macaulay is on the list. If
Okay.
you want to allow it, it's at your discretion.
That's fine, okay.
You want to allow it?
Yeah, okay. Councillor Magali.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is to Councillor Ivan. In the OSC papers on page 40 in tonight's agenda, it highlights the lack of fire safety checks in our Crawley homes. In a BBC article of the 18th of March 2025, I saw an article that 1,200 Crawley Borough Council properties had not had electrical safety checks for many years. Also, a resident in my Tilgate constituency raised this with me, that they had not had any electrical safety checks for over 15 years. So my question, sir, to you is this satisfactory and are our properties safe? Councillor Ivan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I thought we'd run out of time for questions. Sorry?
This is the last question.
Well, possibly, but I did anticipate there being a question on this tonight, and I would like to say to the council, in all good spirit, it's probably better if you ask a question like that as a written question. You get a much better answer than I can give. But what I will say is that Crawley Council takes its obligations on fire safety very, very seriously. Things have moved on since that. The date that report refers to. But what I will do, rather than say something, because there is a fair bit of technical detail in this, and I don't want to misrepresent the case, so I will ensure that a fuller answer is provided in the next appropriate information bulletin. But I would like to add, though, that a part of the problem is that sometimes a number of tenants, we can't get, or the council can't get access to a number of tenancies to actually carry out the inspections. And in some instances, we're actually having to look to take legal action to get to get into those properties, to carry out those inspections. And it would just be so much easier all round if people would just willingly let the council in, or the council contractors, to conduct those those inspections. You know, it's not just. It's a council responsibility, but everyone has to play their part in making sure that those inspections can take place.
That's the end of the councillor questions time. I call upon Deputy Mayor Councillor Hart to move receipt of the reports of the meetings as set out in agenda item 6 on page 25 and in the associated supplementary agenda.
I move that the reports of the Audit, Governance and Planning Committees, Overview and Scrutiny Commission and Cabinet be received. Is that agreed?
We have no items reserved for the debate, and as there is no further supplementary items of business, I declare the meeting of the Council now closed. I would like to invite councillors to join me in the Mayor's Parlour for drinks and nibbles to celebrate the final full council for this municipal year. Thank you.